Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the Real Stories of Success podcast, and super excited to break down one of my favorite people I've met in the last year, Jim Schaefer with Quality Title. We are super excited to hear your story, man. So welcome welcome, and thanks for taking a few minutes to join us today, man.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome,
you.
Jim. Thanks for coming on.
So I got to tell a story real quick. So you put out a video. This is probably in February, March of last year. You put out a video on Facebook that was just kind of telling your story, and I was really inspired by it because not a lot of people have the wherewithal to put their story out there for the public to hear. And that was something that really inspired me and, made me reach out to you. And I remember the first time we had a cup of coffee. I mean, your energy, your presence in the room. On fire. I mean, you were just like all in with what you're doing. And man, that type of energy is so contagious. And that's why I was super excited to bring you on, because you've had an amazing year of 2019 as we're getting ready to wrap up right now. You've done some amazing work within the title business. So I'll shut up for a few minutes and love to learn a little bit more about what your story and what you're working on, Jim.
Wow. Gosh. So I remember it all started basically listening to podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. Gary Vaynerchuk, started listening to him. And because I really had no social media presence or social media ideas as far as who I was or what I was going to do, I just simply took his playbook and just started executing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really what he says. So, and we talked about that too, just getting in the reps. So I literally didn't do a whole heck of a lot other than, well, I've got the information. I know who I am. Let's start putting this down. And then as time passed, I realized I'm turning off the podcast and I'm getting into my own thing. I'm thinking more and more on me and quality and what we're doing and how I want to do it. And then I remember being on the lawnmower in March, thinking to myself, if you execute everything that's in your head right now, you're going to have the best year you ever had. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's exactly what happened. I mean, and that was the best part. I think the best part was visualizing, realizing, and knowing it, and then it coming to fruition. So that to me was that is the success of 2019. Because I've never done anything like that. You know, usually it's just from the hip, or I have a good idea, or I do, I execute one idea, and of course it works. But this is, full scale technology, market size, marketplace, social media, the whole thing, and then doing it, and it worked. I mean, and now what? Now I just have the motivation to get into the momentum to get into 2020.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. So take us back, right? So I think a lot of our audience is always interested in how does someone get to where they're at now? So take us back to the beginning. How'd you get in the industry? What are some of maybe those mentors that brought you along? Some of those early success and maybe some of those early fail stories.
So many things flashing through my head. So my mom started the title company with a partner, and I was serving food at Olive Garden, finishing my degree. So logically, I'm thinking, if I go work for this company, it's going to be a better resume than serving food at Olive Garden. I want to be in business. This is going to help me. So I talked to her about it and made the transition 23 years ago. Early on, it was mostly learn everything you can, do everything you can. And I think the biggest, and I think I told Ryan this before, the best thing about early on that most family companies don't have is my mother let me make major decisions for the company early on. If I had an idea, or if I said we really should do this, or I really think we need to consider this, she let me execute that. And I've learned that that's not common in family business. In family business, you basically take orders until retirement, Florida, and now you're in. So that was a definite head start that I didn't even realize until this past year. 08 was awful. Were you around in 08?
For most of us, yeah.
That was like living, okay, I'm going to put it in perspective, but that was like living through the Depression. That was the worst time of my career, and probably the biggest mistake in the sense that did anybody know that was coming? Was it being for? I mean, I don't know, but I could have done a better job being prepared for that, and I was not. Which was probably the biggest lesson I had to learn from difficulty. But out of that and staying alive and surviving that, now it's kind of like there's nothing you can do now. I mean, you can't do what 08 did anymore. And we put ourselves in a position that can't happen. We were a refi shop. So if the rates go up, we're darn near dead in the water. Now we're 90% purchase.
Yeah.
Now the refi boom took off, so now we're probably 60-40.
It helps,
So-
yeah, but it's not something
yeah.
you're relying on at this point like you
But
were
yeah.
at that time, it sounds like.
Probably a really, really good lesson for everyone to learn out there right now, right? Is who knows when that's happening again.
For sure.
Prepare
For sure.
yourself. Yeah,
Right. And now,
prepare yourself.
thinking about things like foreclosure business, short sale business, tax sale business, investor business. I mean, you have to really start thinking about the market as a whole and how you're going to survive.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with that. And I want to circle back to two things that you said there. Number one, you said that your family let you start making decisions at a very early age in your business. With that responsibility comes both good and bad, right? What were maybe some of those decisions and lessons that you took away from maybe making a decision that seemed like a great idea going in, but then all of a sudden maybe it didn't go the way you planned accordingly, and then you learned a lesson from it?
Sure.
And the second part of that is of that question, as you mentioned, 08 was really, really rough. I was in the business at that time as well. And man, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody truly saw it coming that was in there. I mean, sure, there was economists that did, and I think people way up knew it was coming, but ultimately I don't think a lot of us in the trenches saw it coming to the extent that it did. But you survived it. And I know what lessons I learned from a real estate agent's perspective surviving that. Tell me about that. What were some of those life-changing lessons that you learned coming out of 2008 and that have allowed you to propel moving forward?
Well, so back to the original. I remember probably late 90s, early 2000s. We started, the company started during a refi boom, and we had really strong refi clients. And when everything shifts, as it always does, rates started going up. I remember one of the biggest things I said is, "Mom, we've got to let some people go. Like we can't. We're way overstaffed. We can't sustain this." And then, of course, in having such a difficult thing to do, I also made it a point that I wanted to be a part of that. Like I need to, like this is going to be awful and I'm going to have to let people go, but I'm the one that suggested it, so I'm the one that's going to have to do it. That was hard. I mean, honestly, those were tears back then. Like this is me firing somebody and we're both kind of teared up because it's awful. And then full circle in 08 when I thought we were reeling, I was going to go get a job because I didn't want to fire anybody. Like I was going to go manage if I could somewhere else or something else and keep the company floating so I didn't have to do that again. Like that was big for me.
I love that.
The biggest thing overall that I remember from 08 was being afraid. I was afraid every day. And then I realized it was a waste of my time. It was just wasted energy. And the minute that turned, the minute I decided that I was no longer going to be scared, that's when it changed. It was coming from a place of confidence versus coming from a place of fear. And when that shifts, and then as you gain momentum, and then of course 09 and 10 became like the biggest years ever, right? So in the refi world anyway. So that was it. I mean, that to me was probably the quintessential moment in my career, was realizing that fear had no place for me in being successful.
What I heard you say right there is that you simply made a decision. You made a decision
right.
to not let fear control you, and you made a decision to do something
Well,
about
you get
it.
fed up,
Yeah.
right? You get fed up. You get fed up with your own thoughts, the repetition, and really the lack of results, and you're burning your own energy and you're getting nowhere. I mean, eventually you just, maybe the self-awareness, maybe that's being able to look outside of and then assess. And I've done that kind of in my personality my whole life. Like, I'm whining. I need to stop whining. I need to get after it. Like, this is ridiculous. What you're spinning your wheels.
I think that's pivotal for anybody listening right now. That's absolutely pivotal, because I don't think there's any. I just read a book by Darren Hardy called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, and it talks about the stories that entrepreneurs go through, and I think everybody at their career in some way, shape, or form experiences some degree of what you went through right there, and the fact that you just simply made a decision to do something about it and to not continue down that path. I mean, there is gold in those hills right there. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I respect it. I respect that things can be different and can be bad or can go down, but the fear thing just it just has no place. You'll never succeed with it. It will always win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was big. That was huge.
So changing gears just a little bit, I'm always curious about people's marketing styles, right? Especially as an owner, what have you seen that works? We maybe touched on a little bit earlier of the social media thing. What works for you guys? What hasn't worked for you guys? How are you day to day and maybe month to month and year to year? How are you using marketing? What's that look like for your title company?
So we're business to business, right? I don't actually go to the general public. More or less, I'm going to agents and lenders. So our model, whatever it is different than perhaps what you all do for that reason. But I mean, it's the basic stuff, you know. I believe in energy as a commodity. I believe that our people are the best people out there, and that. And I believe in my product, so I definitely sell energy.
I love that.
It's contagious. It's never ending, and it's something we can share. So I don't have to like drain you so that I can. It's something
right.
you know. It's that that synergy type idea. So when we go out and we do our marketing, it's social media stuff more than anything else. And it's handshakes. I mean, really, our business is relationships. It's you have to have a relationship if you're going to get business. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I hire people that's their nature. You know, very empathetic people, self-aware people, intelligent, hardworking folks that have a passion for what they do. And that's the extent of our marketing. I mean, the social media thing was big this year. We really jumped into that, and that we try to keep light. We try to keep informative. Learned a lot, doing a lot of reps, so you do get better at it. But it's still relationships. Mm-hmm. It's getting out there. It's being present. It's having those conversations, and honestly, being willing to ask for business.
One thing that I want to dig just a step deeper into something you just said there, but you know, so many agents, you know, real estate agents, lenders, you know, people in the real estate business, or I think sales in general, you know, they think that social media is this thing you have to do, but it's simply, in my opinion, a tool to enhance communication, to maybe share your story a little bit, and then attract people to you that want to hear that message or are drawn to that message.
You know, we talk about with social media, like, how do you actually monetize that? I mean, how do you actually say, well, that clip got me a deal? That rarely happens. And I'll tell you, the only clip this year that I know guaranteed got me a deal was chopping trees down. Seeing if it was going to smash my Ranger or smash a house, or, you know, like, that was, a guy called me and says, I saw you chopping down trees. I've got investment properties. Can you do the title on them? That's the only social media clip I did that actually I know gave me a deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cut a tree down with a chainsaw.
But it anyway, brings conversations too, though, because that's how we met. That's how I'm sure you've met many other real estate agents.
Absolutely.
Is you put a piece of good content out there, and you said it 3 times I think already, but you're putting in the reps of doing that consistently day in and day out, which is what then creates the result.
Which I've really done a poor job in the last 60 days, but. Well,
it's still working.
Anyway,
though,
right.
It's still working,
We're coming back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you just got done recording again. I mean, nobody does it perfect every single day of the year, but man, when you
we know that for sure.
It's just life.
I don't like the pressure of. Anyway, give me a little wiggle room, but
No, we'd all like to be like that guy on Instagram who looks like he's doing it perfect every day, but even that guy doesn't do it perfect every single day. There's things that you can do to plan it out, etc. But you know, the fact that you're willing to grow from it and do it and put yourself out there, man, that's huge. I wish more people would take the time to do that and put a meaningful message out there.
To humanize yourself. You know what I mean? People always connect. It's just, that guy's crazy, or that guy's funny, or that guy, whatever. But I'm entertained. I appreciate that you put something together and you had an intent to at least share.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the beginning of it. For sure.
That's it. Who are maybe some of the people, kind of bringing the story back just a little bit, but maybe, you know, you mentioned Gary Vaynerchuk as an example, and I love Gary's work. He's really provided the roadmap, I think, for a lot of what you do, a lot of what I've tried to model as well. But who are maybe some of the other mentors and or coaches that have really helped you take your business to another level? Success rarely comes from just us doing one thing. So who are those people that have maybe helped you navigate some of those roadblocks and help prepare you?
Gosh, early on, I don't know if anybody will know the name really, although he's a legend in the business. There's an attorney for Chicago Title named Dave Clausen, and he back in the day would handled claims and or support to title agents, and that guy was always smooth, and he was a whip. and he could take these advanced concepts and put them into third grader translation so that I could understand what the heck he was saying. And that guy taught me a lot. That actually, he made me want to consider being like a real estate attorney, like doing that as my job, because I thought he was a master of his craft and literally kind of like the puppet master to the whole show. He's the one that handles and tells you, and this is how you're going to get this deal done, or this is how you can't get this deal done. By the way, we can always find a way to get the deal done, right?
Yeah.
Joe Bodorf, I don't know if you know that real estate agent on the South Side, Doc Real Estate.
I've never met Joe.
I've worked with Joe almost my entire career. And early on, I remember in closings how absolutely smooth he was, how he just ran a room. He'd walk in and no matter what the personality or the stress level, he was just always so smooth and understanding and empathetic and yet kept it moving. It was always, okay, let's get this signed, let's keep the closing going, and he was definitely someone I will always consider a mentor in the business. But I think the best part is, Yep. I hear I'm coming in and out, but the thing I'm most proud of is Rod Brummett that works for me. He is an absolute mentor to me, a master of his craft. I don't know if I don't think I know a better man than Rod. He's the best man I know, and I'm so fortunate because I would say that 50% of what he does for me is like me just living a better life and helping me with, raising kids and questions about that. It's absolutely everything that guy helps me with. He's been my right hand. He's been the best person. I remember very early on, he was running a mobile closing company, and just always class, always on top of it, always just high energy and positive energy. And I said, Rod, and if you remember, they used to charge extra for mobile closings. They don't really do that anymore. I mean, unless it's in Timbuktu. And I remember the margins kind of thinning. And I said, Rod, you please promise me that no matter what, if the margins get too thin and you're going to look, promise me we'll have the conversation. I don't know if I can afford you, but promise me you have that conversation. I'll tell you this, when he came over, I paid him more than myself for like the first 3 years. Mm-hmm. But I knew, right? Yeah. I mean, you just know. There's those moments in your career, and this is one of the big things of the entire year that I've learned, is no matter what, if I believe in my intuition, my self-awareness, even my business sense, still the number one thing that I would designate anything, characterize my success for, is belief in myself. I believe in myself, and I believe in it so much that I'll push all my chips in if I know, right? And that's that moment where, do you overcome your fears and it always remain a dream, or do you push in and make that your reality? And that was what Rod really was, really in my career. So an absolute mentor. Karen Collins, she's been on for the last 3 years. That woman does more in a day than I do before 9 a.m. It's absolutely incredible. And she was the missing piece to the success that we're having and that we're going to continue to have, because she is the HR guru. She is the problem solver, the fire putter outer, the three of us, Rod, Karen, and Jim, like that, there's no limitation to what we can do.
That's fine.
And it goes back to people. I mean, it just goes back, mentors. And I mean, I've hired my mentors. Like, I'm
great to have a good team,
I know,
right?
for sure.
Great to have a good team. So I'm curious always when we have somebody on, Ryan goes through this, I go through this on my side, Title definitely goes through this, Jim. Mm-hmm. So it's so competitive, right? Mm-hmm. And so how does Quality Title, how do you guys set yourself apart from all the other title companies, in Central Indiana that everybody sees out there all the time?
I hire the best people.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that the other people aren't the best. I do have a vision for what we are and how we do things. And even now, like, I want to grow. I want to expand. I want more, but I won't do it if I feel it compromises the vision that I have. And that is the energy, and that is how we convey what we do every single day. But it is going back to relationships. If you meet Josh Hargis, if you meet Karen Collins, if you meet Rod Brummett, and I can go all the way down the line, you're going to love them, and And every good title company, every good lender, every good real estate. I mean, there are those people that, that just they magnetize to.
Yeah.
And how do you monetize that? I don't know, but the more good big energy I can get around me, the more successful I've been. Josh tried to ask me, well, how am I doing this year? Right? We're in July. How's it going? Like, how are my orders? Josh, the company's killing. Like, what do you, I don't know how else to explain it to you. Like, I don't even look at that. I mean, it's just, I know we are doing this, and yes, we're gonna have to get more precise, and we're gonna have to get more surgical, and I understand that. But in our introductory year, this is it, right? I mean, the social media has been big. Being willing to just share, like even just putting anything out there is you sharing you, right? And then
Right.
and there's some vulnerability to that. There's some accessibility to that, and people love that. So, and I think they've responded in kind. It's also the reps. It's also being in front of people. It's also staying in front of people. I mean, Josh is a DJ. Josh is our marketing director. Josh is everywhere all at once, and he always brings it. That's been our big. I mean, he's still the number one factor. Social media, sure, but then now that we catch him, how are we cleaning those fish? And then you've got your Roger Karens, your Rendys, I mean, I've got all these people who do a great job. So from top to bottom, once we get you, it's really hard for you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to fight to get away.
Yeah,
right?
you're gonna have a good experience.
Sure.
I mean, I can say I've done
I appreciate
good
it.
number of deals with you guys this year, and I mean every single one has been just top of the line. I mean, communication is pivotal. I've enjoyed every part of the process. I mean, just having a couple cups of coffee with Josh was fun. I mean, when you say high energy, that dude is high
Absolutely.
energy, and I love that because it's something you said a minute ago. I mean that energy is contagious. And it feeds off the enthusiasm he brings to the conversation. You want to go hang out
Sure.
with that guy again, right? So I love that about
I
it.
feel like I hire people that are better than me at what I hired them for. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty good at the ops, and I'm pretty good at but I hire better, and I think that's a huge. I feel blessed for that. So, as good as I am with people, Josh is pretty darn good. I mean, if you don't like Josh Hargis, you might like something like yourself.
Exactly. I love that. So just kind of wrapping things up here, and this has been a ton of fun so far, Jim. I highly
Absolutely.
appreciate it. What are you working on? I know you've got some projects going on that you were incredibly excited about. I don't know if you're ready to share any of those details yet, but what are you most excited about heading into flip the calendar over to 2020 next
I
year?
may not say it quite yet because I am still a little paranoid about,
Fair enough.
I really want to have that thing out and ready and rolling, but
We'll put a follow-up then to this
awesome.
episode when
Awesome.
you get it. Yeah.
Awesome. No, I think it'd be great. But what I am most proud of in light of that is, I don't know if it was Gary, and I don't know if I was reading Rockefeller's book, a new biography that was out in the last couple of years, but there's just those moments when it hits you, like the idea, like it's like they're telling you, just kind of like this next thing I'm doing in 2020. You just have a moment where the idea comes in, and it's like I can't even take credit for it because I just don't feel like it was my thought. I just feel like I was paying attention when the enlightenment hit, when the moment came, and I was listening, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is being focused on your business and focused on what you're trying to do, almost meditative in a way. But when you're really zeroed in and focused on business or life or marriage or kids or whatever, you always come up with the answer. I mean, I feel that that's always been the case in my life. And same thing with what next? How are you going to keep going? Because now, I mean, there is some pressure, right? I just had the best year of my life in business. Well, heck. Anyway, we won't get metaphysical here. But in a way, it's kind of like, how do you keep that going? And then that's when those ideas are I don't know, not just critical, but the next step. So, and again, it goes right back to that intuitive. Yep, this is a good idea. Like even now with the ideas that I have, I don't worry about if it's going to like make me money or lose me money. It's going to make money. I mean, money is the byproduct almost. I'm trying to do something other than make money. The money is the byproduct of what I'm trying to create, right? My legacy is the people that work with me. My legacy is how we did what we do, right? I mean, title is title. It's not exactly the sexiest thing in the world, but how you do it, how you do your job it's your legacy. So that's what the next steps are, is just the organic growth of the single vision that is How can we do this better? How can we do more? What is missing in the industry? Because I think the title industry is very, very slow. I mean, I made a joke in one of my videos that email was the most advanced thing we've done in the last 20 years in title. Like, what are we doing?
Sure.
So e-closing is coming in the summer. So I'm definitely going to get on top of that. And that's a big one. I think there's some real opportunity there, especially with refis and the lender side, and staying out in front of that. But I want to come back because there is something that's coming together now. And not only that, I don't want to get too far into it, but, I have millennial kids. I've raised my millennial kids, and they're millennial kids. And I feel like in that light, I have to keep bringing them along. And so part of what I'm going to do this year is get my sons more involved in a real opportunity and kind of just, keep getting them to the shore, throwing the line. Let's start, let's learn how to do this together. And that's coming too. So it's not just the ideas that I'm going to execute, not really a side business, but it will augment what we do in title, but have my sons run it, be a part of it, and learn it from step one, like I got to.
How cool is that? That's awesome.
So tell the audience how they can get a hold of you. We'll put it up on the screen for those of you guys that are actually watching this, but for those that are listening, what's the best way to get a hold of Jim?
Jim at qualitytitle.com is, how easy to remember that one? Qualitytitle.com, the website. And you can always give us a call at 317-780-5700. We are in Greencastle, Plainfield, Mooresville, and then Southport and 31.
Cool.
So, but of course we go anywhere. That's, those refis will go anywhere. But yeah.
Jim, I've got one last question for you before we wrap up here today, and that's, really for that person that is that maybe younger, newer entrepreneur, maybe somebody that's a year into business and not quite where they want. What do you tell that person? With your 23 years of experience, what's that one piece of advice that you tell that person?
So Gary, this is the thing I've been really thinking on a lot lately. Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about failure, defeat, losing. 08 isn't something that I actually chose, and yes, I learned a lot from it, but I didn't create it. I was just in that. It was bigger than me to have a hand in. I don't feel like I've ever made a major mistake with quality. I feel that, and the point is your gut, right? Your intuitive perception. Like, I believe in my gut instincts. So, baby steps, right? Like, don't go rent a giant space for $5,000 a month. Start in your garage, right? Like, be smart about the entire process. I know we all want to be down here, but do it intelligently. Do it, be calculative about it, and follow your gut. And you don't have to, strike gold day one. You just, there's so many aspects to a successful business. And I even want to get into how we define success, because it's not like I'm sitting here saying that I'm a millionaire, but I am one of the happiest people I know, and to me that's success. Like, I love what I do, and I love who I work with, and to me that's success. It's not, the money is the byproduct, but baby steps. You don't it's not going to happen overnight. I was chained to my desk for 15 straight years. I did all of the ops work. You get there in the dark, you leave in the dark, you put in your hours. But you always have that vision and that belief in yourself that you're going to get to that next place. Now I'd be hurting the company if I went back and did your HUDs and ALTAs, and that would hurt the company. And that's hard too, the delegation of. So in the end, baby steps. You don't have to strike gold overnight. Just put in the work. Yeah. It's work. It didn't just hand it to you. Right. And if it did, you're not going to appreciate it anyway.
Yeah, right.
So
that's the case.
Hopefully I said something in there that you can maybe edit down and draw
Tons
a few
of
things.
takeaways, man. Tons of takeaways.
No, there was a ton there. And so with that, we will wrap it up. That is Jim Schaefer, Quality Title. We highly, highly appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
If you took something away from this, which I certainly hope you did, there was a wealth of knowledge shared. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe on all of your favorite social media platforms. And that's it for this one. Thanks so much,
we appreciate you guys.